Reese's peanut butter cups are the greatest, but let me play devil's advocate here. Let's see. So, no, that's a good thing. That's definitely not a problem. Reese's, you did it. You stumped this charming devil.
As if the McCrispy couldn't get any better, Bacon and Ranch just entered the chat. The Bacon Ranch McCrispy, available at participating McDonald's for a limited time. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
The Purple Mafia, with your host, Paladino Joey.
Well, we'll see. The doctors would disagree, but what do they know?
So let's just say that you'll pay me because it's in your interest to pay me.
Is it worth it? I mean, you've won. Do you want to wipe everybody out?
I don't feel I have to wipe everybody out, Tom. Just my enemies. That's all. My father taught me many things. He taught me, keep your friends close, but your enemies closer.
These are wonderful things that we've achieved, and there's no limit to where we can go from here.
Welcome to the family here on Purple Mafia. It is episode number 103 of the aforementioned Purple Mafia. It is November 28th, 2011. It is great to have you on board once again with me today here on the big show, we like to call it, Purple Mafia. The big show of the three shows that I do, of course. Purple Mafia, Timberwolves Explosion, Brave the Wild. Well, whatever, regardless of what you want to call them. It's been a while since we've been. It's been, 3 weeks already. You had the Carolina Panther game. The Vikings won it and all that good stuff. Then you had the bye week. But then I was busy the next week with the lawn cleanups. So I apologize to those out there that were wondering, where the heck is Pro Mafia? Where the heck is Joey? Why is the show not recorded? What the heck? This is a bummer. But I'm back. So to some of your chagrin out there, Pro Mafia is back there again. I missed you. It's great to hear from all of you. To my knowledge, I'll say that openly. There are no call-ins to this current show. Unfortunately, episode 103. Yep, we're of course reviewing the Minnesota Vikings loss in Atlanta. Oh goody, the Dirty Birds, all those good times rekindled, kind of. Yeah, the Vikings never beat the Atlanta Falcons. They just never beat them. Never. Yeah, except the lame season opener win in 1999. They meant absolutely freaking nothing in the long run. Because Atlanta was a non-playoff team. So whatever. Let's throw the past in the past. But no call-ins to the current show, to my knowledge. I've not heard from Dylan Richardson for the last couple hours here when I tried to reach him on that. So no call-ins to my knowledge. The number is 209-736-7877, 209-736-7877. It is a voicemail. Do treat it as such. It is, of course, the official voicemail of thesportstuff.com, which, of course, is the main flagship website, the main hosting site of Purple Mafia. Couldn't do it without thesportstuff.com, and, of course, Dylan Richardson, whose voice you did hear at the very beginning of the introduction, introducing me, your host, Paladino Joey, to you, the listeners, once again. So, great to have you listening. Thank you guys, all of you, always. We're going to get to page the Twitter, the usual. It was an interesting game. I was able to watch this one with Paul Tuniverse Caniff, if he's listening. Good times always when we get to watch it with Paul. There was some activity on the Twitter account, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to get to that. We're going to kind of sort of merge them together like always, but mostly we're going to be, it's going to mostly be Twitter, we'll say, at least, especially early on during the actual game review. Good times. Minnesota Vikings are now 2-9. Christian Ponder going through the good old, what do we like to call them? Growing pains. Yeah, we just love growing pains, don't we? No, we really don't. But hey, the numbers continue to improve, you could say. They're not spectacular, but they're certainly not horrible. He still looks like a legit quarterback of the future, in my humble opinion. Dan Taylor, awfully active as always, on both the Twitter and the Facebook account. Appreciate that so very much. So it's like, how far back should I go for the Facebook? I'd like to get as much in as I can, I guess we'll say. The good news is, even though it's been a few weeks, I'm not even going to get into the Packer game. Okay, I'll briefly get to it right now. The Vikings, of course, losing that game. Shucks, what was the score? What was it, 45-7? Yeah, that's pretty bad. That was not a fun game at all. Christian Ponder took several steps back in that game, to a lot of people's chagrin and to a lot of people's notice. That was a very frustrating finish to a game in Green Bay. A lot of people thought the Vikings, maybe this is a coming out party for Christian Ponder and Percy Harvin. Oh, here we go. No, it really wasn't. It was very frustrating. Excuse me. I don't know why I'm yawning on the show. That's not nice. It was very frustrating, and it was not good at all. That was a major setback for the Vikings and for Viking fans and everything. It was just frustration. Vikings dropped to 2-7. Then we get paid a visit from the Oaktown, Oakland Raiders. The Autumn Wind is a Raider. Yes, it is. The Autumn Wind is a Raider. And they looked like it. They look like a good football team. What are they, 7-4 now after the previous game yesterday? The Oakland Raiders are now 7-4, and they are winning the AFC West. Looking like a legit team. Carson Palmer appears to be really establishing himself as the starting quarterback of the Oakland Raiders. Michael Bush looks fantastic. Even Darius Raynaud looks good, though unfortunately he had a pretty serious injury late in that game. Looked believed to be a neck vertebra type deal. Lots of quiet, lots of prayer, and thoughts and prayers continue to go with Darius Raynaud in that one. Speedy recovery and nothing major. The good news is we haven't heard anything regarding Darius Raynaud in terms of something extremely serious. So that's the good news of that, but you just hope long term nothing could come out of it. So that leads us to a 2-9 Minnesota Viking club losing in Atlanta 24-14 in a fairly competitive football game, but an awfully boring football game, especially the first half. It was just like blah. The Vikings trailing 17-0, and you know what the Vikings second half woes. It's not usually a good thing. Though, the Vikings did outscore the Falcons 14-10. Excuse me, I'm just sleepy for some reason right now, and I don't know why. 14-10, the Minnesota Vikings defeat the Atlanta Falcons in the second half, though unfortunately the second half means absolutely nothing in the long run. Adrian Peterson injuring his ankle against the Oakland Raiders. High ankle sprain, not available for the Minnesota Vikings in Atlanta. Further proof that, those of you out there that, it's a passing league, and, we have an elite running back in a pass-first league. Oh, goody. That's like the recipe for failure nowadays. Well, the lack of the running game looked pretty obvious yesterday. Toby Gerhardt, 17 rushes, 44 yards, 2.6 to carry. He did get a touchdown, believe it or not, but, every single time you needed some type of big gain or like a big play, 4th and 1, the fourth down on the goal line, and a third down, and was it 20? They did a little a direct snap to Toby Gerhardt. That got absolutely nothing. Toby Gerhardt, extremely, extremely ineffective. Definitely not a starting running back in this league, which again you come back to his draft position, high in the second round. Worthy of it? Absolutely not. A lot of we got in a little thing about Javon Fast. We're going to get to that into the Twitter account pretty soon here. It was pretty frustrating. Yeah. I talk about Toby Gerhardt quite a bit on the Twitter account. Right away, I basically was like, I'm sorry, Toby Gerhardt sucks. And that was after one of those, was it 3rd and 1? He couldn't even get that. So it was time to punt. Viking David comes back and says, don't be sorry, it's the truth. And I believe it was Vikes Princess. It's not on here because she didn't actually respond to me, unfortunately. She said something along the lines of, actually, no, it was Vikings Realist, I believe. He said, he was Vikings Realist. He said everything about, basically this team is not competitive, or excuse me, I can't even talk. It said something about every time this team, any type of expectations. This team has done a great job of failing to live up to expectations of any kind. And I basically said, yeah, giving them expectations is a death sentence. So then Dave Harwig, is DHMN69, comes back with, I just expect them to be competitive. Is that a death sentence? And it's like, well, no, it's not a death sentence, but it's like any type of expectations involving some type of playoff appearance or something going beyond the playoff appearance seems to be a death sentence for this team. Especially, yeah, it just does. You know, the 2009 Vikings, we expected them to get to the Super Bowl because they should have, and they didn't. Well, whatever. See? 98 Vikings. I mean, not only get to the Super Bowl, but win it easily. They didn't. The 2000 Vikings, clearly the best team in football for a long time until Culberber's high ankle sprain. They got to the NFC Championship game, got slaughtered 41-0. I mean, do I need to go on and on and on and on and on? I can, but I'm not going to. So then we get into the whole Javid Best thing. I'm like, well, Javid Best, anybody? Javid Best? Would anybody like Javid Best instead of Toby Gerhardt still? And it's like, well, yeah, the concussion issue, a slight problem, so it's kind of hard to even make an argument with Toby Gerhardt and Javid Best. But I'm telling you, minus the concussions, Javid Best clearly the better player of the two. And no, Javid Best is not exactly LaDainian Tomlinson in his prime or anything halfway near that, but still, he looks like LaDainian Tomlinson in his prime next to Toby Gerhardt, who can't seem to do a gall darn thing out there. He just can't. Toby Gerhardt doesn't do anything. Once in a blue moon, he'll get you some 12-yard gain, and you're like, aha, that's what he's here for. Power runner. Well, what kind of power running is it when you're 3rd and 1? 3rd and frickin' 1, and you can't even get the first down. Where's the power there? What power? I didn't know power means reverse. What, did he hit the reverse gear? So it's like, that's the thing. And no, I'm certainly not yelling at any of you guys there. I'm just yelling at the situation, basically. And the whole scouts and all that, he's a power runner. What power? I mean, I don't care how much muscle you have. If you're not going forward, you ain't powerful. The power, or at least the power that you have, ain't effective. It's just not. It doesn't mean a damn thing if you can't go forward, because that's the object of the game of football, to go forward. Yes. And when you're not going forward on a 3rd and 1, well, gosh darn it, pull out the punting team and forget about it. Yep. I mean, what can you say? You can't say nothing. There, I'm awake now. How about that? That's what happens when I have to record late at night sometimes. You got to wake up. But, yep, we continue the Toby Gerhardt conversation. Viking David and I had some conversations. Dan Taylor jumps in. I mean, it's pretty amazing stuff. It's kind of the Toby Gerhardt versus the concussed Javid Best situation here. Oh, goody. Viking David chimes in the whole situation about trading up to get him. He says, I was pissed when we traded up to get him. What a waste of picks. Uh-huh. I mean, regardless of what you think about Javid Best out there, regardless of the Javid Best concussion situation, still a bad trade, still a bad draft pick. Toby Gerhardt. Done. End of discussion. Toby Gerhardt sucks. End of story. I'm sorry, guys. I know you're probably like, dude, he started one game. Dude. Settle down. Well, he's been here for 2 years. And he's had numerous opportunities to do things, and he just doesn't do them. Adrian Peterson, well, what did it take? One game for him to make an impact? One game. Oh, and it was the Atlanta Falcons, wasn't it? Yeah, it was. Yeah, they weren't very good in 2007, but that's beside the point. You still got to do something out there. Atlanta, it wasn't exactly knocking people's socks off most of this season. In fact, they've been one of the bigger underachievers in the football league this last year. That's for sure. A lot of people over. They 13-3, 12-4 last year. The Falcons. They're a good football team, or supposed to be. That's not playing like it most of the season. They're getting beat by the Saints. They're getting beat by teams like the Giants. They're just getting beat. They're not as bad as the Eagles in terms of disappointment. But yeah, okay. Continue. Dan Taylor chimes into the Gerhardt versus Best conversation. He says Gerhardt versus Best will look a lot better when Best retires from the league pretty soon. Too many concussions. Yeah, I mean, it's like the whole Java Best will be idle, so Gerhardt will catch up and pass him. But it's like if it takes a career-ending injury for Gerhardt to look better, well, okay. But what's Gerhardt really going to do? What is he going to do? Is he going to average like 40 yards a game as a starting running back? Woohoo! Let's get the parade route prepared in downtown Minneapolis, I guess. And no, of course, not jumping on you, Dan. No, not at all. Love you, Dan. I'm just saying, and obviously Gerhardt. Dan Taylor knows exactly where I'm going, and Dan Taylor knows what he's talking about. So, no. He knows that Gerhardt isn't exactly going to blow anyone's socks off either. Who knows? Maybe Toby will become something, but he's never going to be a Pro Bowler. If he is, I'd be shocked. I mean, the only way I think Gerhardt could be a Pro Bowler is if he becomes a fullback, and I don't know, is the transition possible? It's like, to me, I'd like to say yes, but if I told it to a coach today, who knows, would the coach laugh me out of the room? Who knows? Probably. Whatever, right? It's like, I know a lot about football, but I'm not a National Football League coach. I'm just not. I'm not Pete Bursich. I'm not, whoever. What's his name? Eric Bieniemy. There's your running back coach. Running back, fullback, all that good stuff. Viking David chimes back in. He says, neither AP. See, I say Javid Best anyone left that prefers Gerhardt over him. Viking David says, neither. AP is all we need. The comeback is, well, you do need somebody to go with AP because AP has a lot of holes in his game. Adrian Peterson has a lot of holes in his game, folks. He's not good on third down, and he doesn't pick up the blitz. He just doesn't. So Viking David comes back with AP could do it if given more of a chance, meaning the third down and all that stuff. But a solid backup is nice. It's like AP has had a chance, and I don't know. I mean, when it gets to year 5 of Adrian Peterson, and you're still not seeing it, I don't know. I think that ship has sailed, Viking David Campbell. I think that ship has sailed. And, of course, that's no shot at anybody. I'm just saying, yeah, maybe I'm being a little bit too nice when I keep saying, I'm too paranoid of hurting people's feelings. Obviously, nobody's feelings are hurt here, I'm sure. It's funny how, KK responds to me, KK0715, says, thankfully, when I say it's really just 7-0, and what's even more funny is I didn't knock on wood when I said that, because literally, within 30 seconds, it's 14-0. That was classic. When I say, I think a solid backup would be huge, responding back to Viking David, he comes back with, obviously, Gerhardt isn't it. So, again, more proof that Viking David gets it. Gerhardt's not. No, Gerhardt's garbage. He just is. Garbage heart. Yeah. Dan Taylor says, even with all the crappy games this year, I'm constantly impressed with Ponder. He also comes back with, that should shut up comments about Ponder's arm string, a 40-yard bomb that Favre would be proud of. Yeah, I mean, that was the highlight of the entire game. Vikings, we'll just kind of bounce around. The first half, unwatchable. End of story. Why even talk about it? Hell with the first half. Hell with it. 17-0. That's basically all we're going to talk about there. Of course, there were the third down plays that Gerhardt couldn't get. Fourth down failures along the way. Just whatever. We'll get back to that shortly. Here and there. Yeah, Toby Gerhardt did rush one in. Late in the third quarter. Finally put the Vikings on the board. Yeah, the Vikings defense kept the Vikings in the game. Yeah, like to tease us because they're really good at that. But early in the fourth quarter, the Vikings get the ball back from the Atlanta Falcons. Christian Ponder zips the ball. Now where did the ball go when it was a deep pass to Percy Harvin? Was it on the sidelines? Oh, no, it was up the middle. That's right. That's how you throw deep to Percy Harvin. And what was the result? A 30-yard touchdown pass. A awesome play. A very accurate pass. A little bit of a risk, but I mean that's what Connor's going to do. He's going to take risks, and you'd rather have a quarterback that has some guts rather than a quarterback that's scared to throw the football. And gosh darn it, it worked. Percy Harvin emerging in a big way, scoring a touchdown. That was absolutely spectacular. We'll take it, and we'll enjoy it, and we'll love it. A beautiful pass and a beautiful reception. Percy Harvin and Christian Ponder making multiple big-time connections in this football game. It's very, very impressive to see the chemistry developing between these guys. Harvin has led the team in receiving, especially since Ponder has been in as a starting quarterback. Michael Jenkins has had some impressive times. Not really a spectacular showing against his former club. Certainly not making them miss him at all. Roddy White, awesome as heck, with 10 receptions, 120 yards, and a late touchdown that just, a late touchdown that pretty much sealed the deal in a big, bad way. Yes, it did. Julio Jones hurt, not available in the game, unfortunately, for the Atlanta Falcons. That's a guy that a lot of fantasy people are very excited about, short-term and long-term. Roddy White, obviously a mainstay in fantasy. That guy, he actually didn't get he did not get the late touchdown, but he got a late reception that set up the touchdown pass to Michael Palmer. Yeah. Thanks to more bad pass defense and bad run defense immediately after the Vikings made it 17-14. The Ponder to Harvin play was awesome, but then the Falcons came marching down. Oh, and the Falcons came marching in. Unfortunately. Falcons just got it done. They just ran and ran, ate up a lot of time. Vikings run defense completely letting them down yet again down the stretch. Very frustrating. Very, 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 very frustrating. I mean, how can you even, it's like you can't even go on as a Viking fan when you see this type of BS. I mean, that was our calling card on defense, man. That was our calling card on defense. Run defense, folks. Run defense. You have good run defense, you can win it because, the other team isn't going to run it, isn't going to be able to, end the game by running on you, running that clock down if you can stop the run. But the Vikings defense could not stop the run, nor could the Vikings pass defense. Like I mentioned, that deep sideline play to Roddy White, which was very frustrating. In fact, it wasn't that deep. It was just a 26-yarder, but still, hey, it was good enough. Harry Douglas made a big play along the way as well. Frustration indeed for the Vikings. Michael Turner, Vikings could not stop Michael Turner for anything when they needed to. They stopped him during the game in general, but of course when they needed to make the big stops, they couldn't. Michael Turner would make his little 10-yard long of the day when the Falcons needed it most, on 2nd and 10, or 2nd and 8, or whatever it was. It just was like, see you later, guys. We're going to beat you, and there's nothing you can do about it. We're now 7-4, and we're competitors in the NFC, and you guys are far cry from being that, and that's exactly what the Vikings are right now. Unfortunately, boy, that's amazing when you look at the temperature, the game time temperature. 40 degrees in Atlanta, Georgia. Boy, I'll keep my mouth shut on a certain, I'll leave that alone. That's a little colder than certain people would like you to believe. Yeah. You can figure out what inside comment I'm trying to lead to there. Of course, Tony Coleman, and I'm sorry I didn't even get to talk about this earlier. He went to go see the Oaktown Raiders. Tony Coleman, there are those tickets right there, Purple Mafia. Okay, first, forgive me for being kind of jumbly here. It seems like when I come back after a layoff from this show, I'm a little bit funky, and I apologize. Twitter.com/Purple Mafia Show. Twitter.com/Purple Mafia Show is the Twitter account. Do give that a follow. For Facebook.com/Purple Mafia Show. Do join that by simply going to the webpage and clicking like on the page. Yes, you have to actually go to the page and then click like. I don't know where everybody is, and I'm disappointed by that, by the number on the page, but not disappointed with the contribution. No, not at all. Just the number. Very good indeed. Good stuff. Yes, and Tony Coleman got free tickets from Chris Cluey. There's a picture of Tony Coleman with that Neil O'Donnell beard, his young son. And, yes, and number 4, which is really funny, seeing a number 4, Chris Cluey. I mean, number 4 is never going to be the same on the Vikings. No. Dan Taylor, well, he just kind of sums it up. Sums up the Packer game. I'll just get to that real quick on the Facebook page. He said, didn't watch it, won't bother, yuck. Tony Coleman responds with, it was painful, and yes, it was. There's the picture, though. Chris Cluey already talked about that. Anthony Batista chimes in about those Packers. He says, I know the Packers are the best team in the league, which I hate to say, but I don't think there's a team that can hang with them for 60 full minutes. But come playoffs and it gets cold, I think they will have a little more trouble throwing so accurately. There were passes that Rodgers completed that were against some pretty tight coverage. But in Monday, iChat's game, huh? I think our offense took a step back. This is a pass-happy league in which we are not as explosive at throwing the ball downfield. Hang on. That was, in a pass-happy league, and we're not as explosive throwing the ball downfield. Pretty much, other than that Harvin play, in the Atlanta game. And it wasn't exactly bombs away to Randy Moss style. It was just different. Oh, man. Yep. Tony Coleman, he said, every Viking game I've attended has been a win, so here's hoping that streak continues. I'm taking some luck in with me. It's my son's first Viking game, and unfortunately, no, that streak has ended for Tony, though I'm not sure I'm not sure what his record is then. Is it 8-1, 9-1? Or is it just 4-1? Tony, maybe fill us in on how many wins that you've brought to the Vikings over the years. Just for fun, just for fun and curiosity. Dan Taylor jumps in and says, looking at the initiatives, what am I saying? Looking at the inactives, I don't think we have much chance today. We're down players at linebacker and secondary, and I just don't think we can cover the speed of the Raiders receivers. Sort of AP rushing for 200 yards, I don't see us doing it. And unfortunately, AP, who was doing pretty well in the game, had a high ankle sprain, and that was it. Yep. Taylor says, well, we tried, made a nice comeback, mainly through the Oakland penalties. And yes, if I was going to do the Oakland show, I would have said, basically, me and my brother need to do a fall cleanup, because that's what we're busy with, need to do a fall cleanup in the Mall of America field because of all the yellow. I mean, look at all those yellow leaves on the ground. Yeah, that's about it. I mean, Vikings and Raiders penalized up the yin-yang in that game. Oh, my God. So the Ponder continued to show some flashes of brilliance. The touch on the big pass to Schenko was perfect. If we could just be a bit more consistent, and if the defense could settle down a little bit, we could really go somewhere. Until then, we keep looking forward to that top 10 draft pick, and they will absolutely be in the top 10. I will be shocked if the Vikings are not in the top 10, because they're probably going to be, at best, 4-12. I mean, how do you not make the top 10 with 4-12? I'm still shocked that the Vikings finished 6-10 last year and couldn't even get in the top 10. It just shows you there was a lot of bad football last season. Yes, there was. I mean, heck, the world champion Packers were, 10-6, right? Weird, huh? Weird. Tony Coleman says, well, my streak of the games attended being wins has come to an end. That's too bad. One thing I noticed, though, was how friendly all the Vikings fans were in the stands, both to their own and the Raiders fans. Your true colors come out when you're at your worst, and the purple folk I talked to were incredibly personable and friendly. I was surprised to see how many Raiders fans were actually there and how loud they were. But all in all, I still had fun, even considering the outcome, and my kid went to his first game and got his first in-person lesson in what it's like to be a Vikes fan. Like Dan Taylor already said, Ponder had a few great-looking moments. He had a few bummers, too. A lot of those will be fixed with time. I'm glad we have him, and too bad about AP. I hope he's not out for too long. I keep thinking that if he hadn't been injured, we might have finished our rally in the fourth quarter. Yeah, that was a fun game that just did not, the Vikings could not finish it. Ponder clearly is the quarterback of the future in a lot of ways. I mean, if we get Andrew Luck, we get Andrew Luck, but we're not going to get Andrew Luck, so fill that in, right? Chris Ponder is the starter. But the Raiders fans, lots of Raiders fans in the stands, I see that as believable because their heritage. I mean, the Autumn Wind is a Raider. Yeah, they have sucked hardcore for about 15 years until pretty much right now. Okay, yeah, they had a couple of really good years in the John Gruden era. And the 1 year after John Gruden left, they made it to the Super Bowl with Jim Callahan, I believe, was the coach. And of course got pounded by the Buccaneers, the other Pirates. The Adam win was a Buccaneer in that Super Bowl. But no, there's so much tradition with the Oaktown Raiders that they're one of the symbols of the National Football League, man. I mean, I'm telling you, the silver and black are one of the absolute symbols and seals of the National Football League. And it's not me coming up here and telling you, oh, the Raiders are are so great. I love the Raiders. Yeah, I like the Vikings, and I'm the host of the show. But boy, the Raiders. Yeah, I'm not trying to get all romantic about another team that played somewhere else that beat us in the Super Bowl in 1976. But hey, facts speak for themselves, and I don't hate the Raiders like I hate the Cowboys and the Packers and the Giants and the Steelers. It's just, I don't know. I just like them more than those teams, at least. Chris Cook facing another felony charge. Tony Coleman posting article on there from City Pages. He says, I think it's safe to not expect him back this season. I tend to agree. Chris Cook is as good as gone, as far as I'm concerned. Until that changes, yeah. Until I have reason to change that opinion, I can't. Interesting. I wonder who this was. Was this Dylan or Dan Doro? Because this wasn't me. Just look at the little girl that hates the Packers and wants the Vikings to win. You got to like that cute little photo. Bradley Davis says adorable. Check that out to those of you out there on the page. Dan Taylor, no AP today. We're going to lose. Oh well. And yeah, of course we're going to lose. The 4th and 13. Yeah, that was the thing. Not only did the Vikings go for it on 4th and 13 at the 40, that was the Percy Harvin play. I mean, that was the other part of what was so amazing about that. I mean, that was great. You kind of took a chance, but it was beautiful. Bill Musgrave looking good there. Yeah, he did. So why didn't Frazier challenge a call when the video clearly showed the ball broke the plane? Yep, that was when Percy Harvin was trying to run the ball into the end zone. That was a touchdown, folks. It's like you don't want to come up here and say, oh, the Raiders screwed us tonight. Or the Raiders, the refs. I got the Raiders in my head. Screwed us tonight. Well, in that call, they did. Yeah, they did. End of story. That was a touchdown. It was kind of close, but at the same time, no, it was a touchdown. And there was no review of any kind. I don't know. Frazier is not winning the fan base over all too well. I mean, and I know everybody's going to say, like Taylor, I'll get to that in a little bit. Yeah, I didn't finish the Twitter account, by the way, because I wanted to get caught up here a little bit. Taylor did make a comment about how, did kind of defend Frazier saying, hey, give him at least one more year. I'm telling you, man, Frazier is burying himself with the Viking fan base with some really bad decision-making. Poor timeouts, lack of challenges, and I don't know. Strange play calls, very strange decisions. Though some of his personnel moves have been really good, like getting rid of the Berrien, McKinney, and Medea Williams trio. But I'm telling you, I don't know. Frazier's made a lot of mistakes. Yeah. And a guy that's, 51 years old, you'd think there'd be a little bit less mistakes going on. Seriously. I mean, Mike Tice was, barely out of playing, wasn't he? I don't know. I'm a little bit miffed by some of this. Dan Taylor says, well, it's search for a little moral victory time again. The team showed some spirit in the second half, and maybe if we'd had one or fewer injuries, we might have done something more. Yes, it is a waste at the end to get stuffed on 4th down, and an even bigger shame to not be told to challenge in time on the 3rd down run. I'd question why we didn't throw the ball at all, but whatever. Ponder continues to impress, and I really do think he gives us something great for the future. He's amazingly quick, throws the ball on the run, throws well on the run, and hopefully that awesome 40-yard bomb to Harvin will quiet some of the no arm strength comments. give him an O-line, and some time to stay in the pocket. And I really like our chances. But the best news today, the Panthers won, so we're currently sitting on the number 3 draft pick. Yeah. Khalil is the guy, folks. Khalil. K-A-L-I-L, I believe, if I'm spelling it right. That's the guy. That's the guy we should target. Interesting little picture that Dan Taylor was able to put up. He says, "Oh, this is all I really need to say. Vikings, why you no win games?" Classic. Gotta like that. Back to the Twitter account briefly here. Yeah. Phil retweeted me saying, when you need the big tackle, it doesn't happen. Greenway is overrated. Yeah, Chad Greenway does not impress me, ladies and gentlemen. No. It's like he's a good linebacker, but he's not worthy of great linebacker status. He is definitely not. And he's missed some tackles. He's not brought guys down when you need to late in games. I don't know. He's not a gamer to me. Chad Greenway is not a gamer. He's good. He's even above average, but he ain't a gamer. Just not. Taylor comes in with, can't agree with any of this Fire Frazier crap. It's still his first year with no offseason. This is a multi-year project. And he continues with few rookie coaches start well. The team is bad, but to me, his first draft is looking good. Just give them all time. Well, Frazier didn't make the draft picks. Maybe he helped with it and consulted in it, but he didn't actually make the picks. That's one thing got to come in. That's more of the Rick Spielman, Scott Studwell types out there. I guess you could say it's the three-headed monster: Spielman, Studwell, and Studwell and Spreewell. Spielman, Studwell, and Leslie Frazier. That's pretty much the combination there. Yeah. Viking fans, if you're frustrated, trust me, I'm with you all the way. How can you not be frustrated? Yet at the same time, hey, let's get that top 3 pick. Let's try to get Khalil. Some people have him projected going all the way as number 2. Obviously, we know who number 1 is. It's somebody that's going to be very luck. You're going to suck for luck. You're gonna be loving Lady Luck. Yeah, even though it's actually Andrew Luck. Yeah, that was hilarious. But Khalil, yeah, you just hope and pray it works out. So teams like a lot of the top offensive linemen tend to work out. It seems to be one of those things, though, where they're building blocks in the project. You know, their arrival with the team does not guarantee any type of immediate improvement with the team. But long term, yes. Orlando Pace went to the St. Louis Rams many years ago with the number 1 overall pick, and it's like, it's a can't miss, absolute super duper bomb offensive lineman, left tackle type. And the Rams still sucked for a few years. Yes, they did. But eventually, he was an absolute part of a foundation that produced a Super Bowl championship and a Super Bowl appearance and some excellent football for at least a while there. So, there you go. Now the St. Louis is waiting on a new offensive lineman over there. The Miami Dolphins also as well. The whole long and long thing. They're waiting for those guys to develop into something. Hasn't happened yet, but generally something comes out of it. They intend to be valuable pieces, especially when your team is competitive. The good news for the Vikings is you do have Harvin, Adrian, and Christian to develop with your offensive lineman in the future. The other news is that John Sullivan will be one of the most sought after centers in the free agent pool for the National Football League free agency coming up in 2012. John Sullivan quietly having a fairly good year. Like, he's pretty much outplayed everybody on the offensive line for the Minnesota Vikings this season. Phil Oldholt, really, when the most times you hear Phil Oldholt's name is when he's being called for a dumb penalty. Steve Hutchinson is nearing the end. He's just not what he was. He's just not. Steve Hutchinson is, every time you talk about Steve Hutchinson, all you hear about is how hurt he is. Oh, poor Steve Hutchinson. Hurt. He's playing with one shoulder. He's playing on one leg. Then eventually it's like, are you really worth the money? Because I don't see it. If you're not worth the money, then get the hell out of here, frankly. And no, I'm not necessarily saying Hutchinson, don't let the Lord hit you where the good Lord split you, but close. I mean, at his price tag, maybe I am saying that. Anthony Herrera, unfortunately, plagued with ACL injuries. What more can you say? I mean, not his fault. It's just plagued. He's just plagued, and that sucks. Ryan Cook was horrible. Chris Jaguar was relegated to the practice squad. Berger is pretty much like a guy you bring in. Berger, I don't even care. Is a guy that you bring in, and he's just an off-the-street free agent the Vikings got from St. Louis, and it's like, we're happy for you. Yeah. And the injuries continue to mount because Chad Loeffler not available. So who's the long snapper for the Minnesota Vikings? Well, the man who was drafted as a long snapper, I believe it was at the 5th or 6th round, the Kansas City Chiefs years ago, who wears number 69. Yeah, he was drafted in the NFL as a long snapper. Yes, he was. Well, he's the Vikings long snapper right now. Jared Flippin' Allen is a long snapper, despite the fact he's probably he's still the leading sack guy in the National Football League. Unfortunately, unable to acquire a sack this week, though he did play a fairly good football game. Jared Allen, 3 sacks short of 100 for a career. It has been a heck of a career for this guy. 14 sacks in 2011 with how many games left? That would be 5. 5 games left, Jared. So let's go get him. Get your 100. That would put you at 17 for the season. That'd be great. And it was actually the 4th round. He was taken in the 4th round, was Jared Allen. Originally, as a long snapper, believe it or not, became a defensive end. And look at him now. Amazing career for Jared Allen. No doubt. And you guys all know that. I don't need to really go into any type of introduction or any type of praise even, because you already know he's fantastic. Yes, he is. Good times, indeed. Everson Griffin getting a sack in the game as well. That was good to see. Good to see Everson Griffin, another guy who's actually quietly having a pretty good year amongst all the garbage this season. I mean, this is a garbage-filled season. Man, I mean, we really were in the NFC Championship game, folks. Yeah. Nobody's making it up. It really happened. NFC Championship game, Vikings. That's kind of funny. It's kind of funny out there. It's kind of crazy. Yeah, it's kind of crazy. Mr. Joe Raymond getting some playing time, I believe, mostly on special teams. Oh, and the Vikings did bring in Benny Sapp. Yes, Benny Sapp returning to the Minnesota Vikings, making his debut. And, well, he wasn't amazing. But it's nice to see him back, I guess. It just shows you how desperate this team is. Benny Sapp actually flat kicked butt in 2009 and won that Nickelback job. He just kicked some butt and won it and was very valuable. A lot of people thought he was better than... A lot of people thought he should have been starting the whole year in 2009. Antoine Winfield's injury screwed him up. Unfortunately, and Cedric Griffin's inconsistent play screwed him up as well at times. Yeah, Cedric just isn't that good. A lot of people don't like him anymore, and I don't blame him. Sorry to say. It's been, it's getting interesting. Yes, it is. So, really, what more is there to say about the Atlanta Falcons game? Not all too much. Really, not all too much. We are going to move on to next week's game. Tim Tebow, that's right, Tim Tebow comes to town with the Denver Broncos. Yep, the born-again Christian Tim Tebow, and yeah, I tend to agree with that. With that faith. Yes, I tend to agree with that faith in a big way. Obviously, a debated figure because he may talk about it a little bit too much, but hey, talking about a good thing is a good thing in my opinion. Those of you out there, you have your own opinion, you have your right to it, and we're happy for you. So, just like you're happy for me. So, we'll just continue here. Minnesota Vikings, Denver Broncos, and of course the 4th, December the 4th, coming to Mall of America Field. The Denver Broncos, well, they're not that good. They're really not. And Tim Tebow is not that good of a quarterback. But mystery upon mystery, the Denver Broncos continue to win football games. They win ugly, but they win often. They are 6-5, ladies and gentlemen. Since Team Tebow, it is Team Tebow. Team Tebow. Tim Tebow took over the reins with the Denver Broncos. They have pretty much done nothing but win. Why that is, I don't know. I really don't. I'm kind of baffled a little bit. A quarterback really can't throw. And he completed, 2 passes, about 2 weeks ago. 2 passes in the game, ladies and gentlemen. He completed 9 passes yesterday, 9 for 18. That is, ladies and gentlemen, a 50% ratio, as you could probably do the math there very easily. 50% of his passes, and that's probably one of his better games. Holy moly. It's like, Lord, I guess you want Denver to win. Therefore, Tim Tebow is the quarterback, and they were 2-5 when he first started. They are now 6-5. So again, as I said, Lord, I guess you like the Denver Broncos right now, and Tim Tebow, of course, at the helm. For whatever reason, they're winning football games. They're getting in field goal range, at least as of yesterday. Matt Prater, there's a guy you might want on your fantasy football team. He scored you 10 points yesterday. 3 field goals and, of course, an extra point. Good stuff. There you go. I guess sign Matt Prater if you're trying to get that little edge in the fantasy football playoffs and Super Bowl. There's your guy, I guess. Tim Tebow is not a fantasy quarterback. Statistically, it's hilarious. Hilarious. I mean, he completes maybe 40% of his passes and is going to have 8 touchdown passes for the season. If he's lucky. No, 8. That's probably a little bit high. Funny part is, though, his passer rating, 95.4. He's just efficient. He's not throwing interceptions, but he sure as the heck ain't dazzling anybody. Yet the Denver Broncos are winning games. It does help that Tim Tebow is a running freak. He rushed the ball 22 times for 67 yards, but his teammate, Willis McGahee, just a little bit better showing in the running game. 23 yards for 117 yards, 5.1 a carry. The guy is the real deal. I really like Willis McGahee a lot. I've always liked him. Clearly has won that starting job in Denver in a big way. I like him an awful lot. I really do. The Broncos like him too, but unfortunately we can't like either one of the Tim Tebow or Willis McGahee coming into Sunday. Eric Decker, the former Gopher, returned to Minnesota and to the Metrodome, where he played some football games there. Yes, he did. Eric Decker, one of the better receivers in Gophers history, has had a very successful career so far in Denver. A young career, but a very successful one. Denver Broncos defense is extremely good. They keep the Broncos in games, and Tim Tebow, for whatever reason, gets the offense down the field enough to lead their team to victory. San Diego Chargers have gone down the tank, so it's not as impressive a victory as some people would like to think, but the Broncos are winning games. That's just all that matters. So is anybody going to pick the Vikings to defeat the Denver Broncos next week in the Dome? Anyone? The pass defense is not good at all. We don't force turnovers very often, maybe once in the blue moon. The run defense is extremely disappointing, and you have a quarterback that can run. You have a running back that can run with the Denver Broncos, and you have a defense that's above average, though they did give up 137 rushing yards to Ryan Matthews. The only problem is, that's right. Ryan Matthews and Toby Gerhart are not very similar. So, gosh darn it, that's not going to work out too good either. Hello. Yeah, it's going to be fun times for the Vikings next week, isn't it? This coming Sunday. I can't pick them to win because right now we're one of the 3 worst teams in the National Football League, without a doubt, and Denver is on a spiritual run, I guess. I don't want to just flat out say it's God's team because that's foolish. I mean, God loves all man equally, so we can't really go to that. But for whatever reason, the Denver Broncos are winning a lot of football games, and yeah, for whatever reason, despite how bad a team they are, And they do have a very, very good football coach. And John Fox, yeah, they have a very good coach, football coach. Yeah, I guess that's the sport he coaches, right? But Denver Broncos, right now, to me, for whatever reason, are going to come into the Dome and beat the Vikings. The Vikings had virtually no success against John Fox. I mean, just no success whatsoever when he was the Carolina Panthers head coach. Now the Carolina Panthers are now the Denver Broncos. You know, similar situation, too, with the quarterbacks. They always seem to succeed with John Fox. Like Rodney Peete. You had guys like that. You had Matt Moore defeat the Vikings. You had, I don't even know, Kerry Collins, obviously long ago in a galaxy far, far away. I don't even think Fox was a quarterback or coach then. No, he wasn't. That was way too long ago. It's escaping me now. Not too long. I mean, there have been, so many quarterbacks there, and now it's escaping me. That were the quarterbacks with Fox years ago. Well, whatever. Rodney Peete was one of the big ones that's like you don't expect success from a guy that's that old at the time. Yeah, who wasn't that good, and even when he was a starter, but whatever. Chris Winkie, that's who it was. Okay. Yeah, even he beat the Vikings. The Vikings never beat John Fox, and they're not going to beat John Fox this year because the Vikings are having one of their worst seasons ever. They're just not that good right now. Maybe Christian Ponder will do something, maybe not. Maybe he'll light up things in the Dome. He didn't really light things up against the Raiders. So the Raiders are more skilled than Denver. Hey, whatever. I think the Broncos, I think it's going to be one of those games where you're just like falling asleep. Unless the running game for Denver is that good. And it just might be because the Vikings' run defense is not looking good. But, you might be looking at a 16-13 type of game again. But I'm going to say it's going to be 18 to 17. 18 to 17. We're going to have a very close game. The score will make it look interesting, but the gameplay will not. It'll be one of those games that's just not that fun to watch. Vikings will score in the air. Christian Ponder will get the Vikings into the end zone. Percy Harvin or Michael Jenkins or Vasande Shenko, whoever. But Ponder will get the Vikings into the end zone with a pass of some type, maybe two, who knows, or maybe he'll run one in himself, whatever. But I think Tim Tebow and the Denver Broncos are going to pull off a uninspired or uninspiring win, but a win in the Metrodome that'll make them 7-5 and keep them in the playoff chase. And they're going to win their 5th game in a row. And again, it's not because I'm Mr. Negative coming up here bashing my team and making all you fans just like, pound your head against the computer screen or your iPod or whatever you're listening to me right now. But hey, you've seen the team play. They're not good. They're not good. You know it. Just admit it. And, well, let's take a really nice offensive lineman and let's build that foundation. Let's dig the foundation deep in the ground, just like, what's his face? Greg Coleman, to those of you that might have been listening to the game on the radio, was talking about. Yeah, let's build that foundation. Yes, let's get the foundation started come draft time. Because right now, when you talk about Vikings football, you're talking about the draft, and you're hoping and praying that Adrian Peterson will stay healthy long enough and to be on this team when they're winning, to be good and still will be healthy and strong when this team is winning again. Hopefully as soon as next year. We'll see. But it's all about the draft right now, man. It is. At this time being, it's about the draft. The coaches are not going to get fired. Maybe certain assistants will. Some assistants get fired sometimes. Like Mike Tice fired Willie Shaw. George O'Leary just moved on to a different job elsewhere in college. So things happen. We're just going to have to wait and see how things turn out with the with all that. But we'll get to that when the time comes, when it's time for State of the Vikings address and free agency and all that. Hey, at least there won't be a lockout this time. Oh, and by the way, the NBA lockout is over. Woo, I love that. So those of you out there that might be fans of Timberwolves Explosion, which is also available on the sportstuff.com and iTunes, stay tuned for that. The Minnesota Timberwolves, we're going to be doing a preseason or a season preview like we do every year. So basketball fans out there, Timberwolves Explosion, sportstuff.com and iTunes, keep your eye out for that. It's going to be coming maybe by the end of this week. We'll see. I can't wait. Oh, God, I can't wait. But no, NBA didn't handle the lockout situation as good as the NFL, did they? No, NFL handled it a little bit better. Yep. So that's why you guys love this game. That's why you guys love the National Football League, because it's not filled with full guaranteed contracts and entitled players as much as the NBA is. That's what you guys don't like about the NBA, I guess. But hopefully you still like it enough to pay attention to the NBA. I think I've said enough about the Broncos game. Can the Vikings beat the Broncos? Of course. But the unfortunate part is the Broncos give up, at times, the Broncos at least give up some defense. Oh my God, I can't talk. Give up some rushing numbers. At least Ryan Matthews seemed to run on them pretty easily. Unfortunately, though, unlikely that Adrian Peterson will be on the field next week. Do I think Toby Gerhardt's going to go off for 100 yards? You know, you never know with a guy like that. Anything can happen. But the Atlanta game is any indication of what Toby Gerhardt is bringing to the table. I have no confidence in the guy whatsoever. None. No reason to have any confidence in him. Especially when Denver's overall defense is very good. They never get any points. They just never do. Never. Denver Broncos are one of the better defenses in the league overall most of the time. They gave up points earlier in the year, so it makes their stats uglier. But as things have continued, they have gotten better and better and better. Their run defense, so they give up 120 yards on the ground. Their pass defense, they give up 234 yards a game. So they're kind of, statistically, they're middle of the road because of how poor they played earlier in the season. But of late, that defense has developed into something pretty solid. It has. So, indications pretty much since maybe leading into like the Tebow era, the defense has gotten better and better for Denver. They've kept teams in check for quite a while here. And I expect that to continue, unfortunately, with a struggling Minnesota Vikings offense still looking to find a identity of some kind, really. Because I don't really know what kind of offense they are. I guess a pass up the middle and run the ball also. That's about what they do. So, again, that's pretty much where we're going to stand. 18-17, Denver over Minnesota. Sorry, fans, we're going to be 2-10. Yeah, that sucks. That's life. Just how it's going to go. So, with that, we are going to conclude the show. Man, I didn't take a break or anything. I just went straight. I wanted to keep going. Strange show, huh? Very strange show. I didn't even take a break. I hope that didn't wear you guys out. Yeah, that's weird. I didn't realize it. I just kind of kept going. So apologize to some of you out there that maybe what the deal was with that. Yeah, my head's spinning a little bit. But yeah, let's get to the contact details. Let's just call it a day here. We're getting about the 1 hour point. Pro Mafia mentioned earlier, available on thesportstuff.com and on iTunes. We'd like you to join those message boards on thesportstuff.com. Go to the website, simply click on the button that says TSS Boards. Then simply click register. That's all you got to do. Click the register button. Get a screen name that makes a little sense of some kind. Don't be like the spammers out there. Just get like a real screen name. And then join those forums, which are split up in divisions. You can talk with other teams in the NFC North or in other divisions in the NFL, whatever you are, whatever you want to do, whatever you want to talk about. Good times. Enjoy it. It's very cool. Also, don't forget about the Facebook.com/Purple Mafia Show, Twitter.com/Purple Mafia Show, and Paladino Live at Yahoo.com. Or even free to add me on Facebook. If you're listening on iTunes or see me on the webpage, you can see how to spell my name. It's right there, AWAIJANE. That's my last name, and of course, Joey. Feel free to add me on Facebook. I'll add you. You know, welcome aboard. Would be nice to have new friends that are Purple Mafia fans. That'd be cool, and of course, Viking fans as well, of course. So with that, I'm going to conclude the show where I'm back again. Sorry if it was kind of a weird show today, a little bit strange. But hey, that's, every show is different. Maybe that's more reason to keep listening. Every show is a little different, and that's what keeps you on your toes. And that's what happens when I'm away for 3 weeks. Things might be a little bit weird, a little bit different, but hey, as long as it's still good quality radio and you guys are listening, that's what matters most. You listeners are what Purple Mafia is all about.